to make money, you need to have a good network of people around you. Build meaningful relationships that you could tap into, if you need it from time to time. And then obviously making sure that you become that support structure for other people that you would like them to be.
Hi guys, welcome back to Conquer Video Podcast, proudly presented by The Short Media. I'm here today with a wonderful and empowered woman, Peta Smuts. Thank you so much for joining us today. It is lovely having you here.
Thank you so much. It's really a pleasure and nice to be here.
Great, man. I am Angelique, your presenter for the day, your podcast girl, So to jump into it, Peta is the CEO of Securitas Financial Group. The first time that I saw Peta was special for me to meet her, rather to hear her speak, was at a woman empowerment event where she spoke about financial management and a lot of other things. So Peta, for us, especially as youngsters, not having a lot of financial management and not knowing a lot about finances, tell us a little bit more about what you do and how you do it.
Like you said, I work for Securitas Financial Group, and we do the full spectrum of financial advice.
Okay.
I personally specifically focus on medical aid, funeral funds, and gap cover benefits, as well as employee benefits or pension and provident fund type of side of things. But within the business, we also have an investment wing. We have just under 3 billion rand worth of assets that we manage within the business. We have a short-term division, and in that division we look after just over 5,000 policies. That's household insurance, car insurances. And then we also do fiduciary advice. And that for me is really, really a big thing, and that's where my talk was what my talk was based on. Very few people actually realize that if you have an investment of R1 million, for argument's sake, and you want to leave it to your kids, there is so many other things you need to take into consideration. For argument's sake, an eye-opener to me was that if you married in community of property and you die, the minute you die, your house is deemed sold. That house must come out of the joint assets name, your husband and yours, and it must go into your own name. There's transfer fees involved, all of those beautiful things that people don't take cognizance of. And one need to make provision for those type of things. Also having a proper will in place, that is executable. Because if you can sit down and you say, I've got a trust and I do a will, and I say the beneficiaries are my sisters and my kids, but I also use my sister as a trustee, that will is not enforceable. Because you cannot have a beneficiary and somebody who has to take care of the legal side of things in the same space. So those are the things that were interesting to me, to say there's so many things you learn that forms part of your whole financial planning that one has to look at holistically. So in the business, we look after all of that holistically.
So now that you are mentioning all of this, I'm not gonna lie, I thought when you married in community of property, all that you do is you go, you sign, chick. If I die, then my husband gets everything. That's what it is. There's nothing to it. There's no other, like you said, there's transfer fees. There's a lot of other things that are going with it. And I think a lot of people are unaware of this. And maybe like you being the CEO of Securitas Financial Group, do you guys provide all of those things to help people through that and to explain to them what to do?
In fact, that's what we do. We assist people to make sure that they put a proper will in place. We make sure that there is liquidity in the estate. Because also something that very few people think about is if I die today, everything that is in my name, those assets gets frozen. And today being the 14th of the month? By the 30th of the month, the bond must be paid. The children's school fees must be paid. Food must be bought. If my kids use transport to school, the school transport must be paid. But my assets are frozen. So what happens to the kids during that period before the estate gets finally wound down? In some instances, it can take up to 6 months for that estate to be wound down. And the accounts, the bank accounts, everything cannot be accessed. So we assist people to look at that side of things as well, to say, fine, You have a home worth 2 million rand. You own a car worth R1 million. But do you know that whilst this forms part of your estate, everything is frozen? So how do you bring liquidity into your estate to make sure that if I die today and there are bills due to be paid in 5 days' time, those bills get paid? So we help people to make provision for that as well, to make sure that life goes on even after you die.
Wow, amazing. I think that is basically what I want to say right now, is that if people really want to, especially for us growing and becoming, we are employed, we are becoming older, we are getting married, Securitas Financial Group is the way to go right now. Yes,
absolutely. I think there's, and for me, it's those little things that we assist people to look out for. You know, I was actually speaking earlier to one of your colleagues also to say when people think about investing or looking into creating wealth for themselves, we think you must have millions of rand that you can invest, but it starts with the young people like yourself. If you start working today and you only put away 100 rand a month, you would be amazed at how much money that generates for you with the power of compounded interest, how much money that creates for you by the time you hit 50, you know? And it's in those small things, how you take money out of a meal, because 100 rand won't even buy you a decent meal. It's the value of a cup of coffee. But how that one cup of coffee a month can make a huge difference to you when you get to retirement stages. It's a it has a massive impact. And it is those kind of conversations that we're saying, you don't have to have pockets full of money, but you can make it so small discipline that you put in that you start early in your life that will have a huge impact when you get older.
Now, Peta, that you are talking and I can feel your vibe and your, like, it's very positive and your confidence. So I want to know, how has your confidence grown during your career or the course of your career? How has your confidence grown to be this light of our interview right now?
I must say, I think confidence comes with repetition.
Okay.
You know, if you, and I always say it's that little tap on the shoulder, you know, you do something and you know you've done it right. And you do it again and it's correct. And you know, and then your confidence grows. So it's consistency. It only comes from consistency, you know. In Extender aan Afrikaans, you do nie selfde ding oor en oor totdat jy dit perfek kry.
Hoe sê ons in Afrikaans? Jakkalspryse eie sterd. When you know, when, like you said now, when you feel that you've done good, you feel the confidence, like, actually, ek het mos al iets baie mooi gedoen, man.
And also the feedback from your peers, feedback from the people that you engage with, you know, that helps you, boosts your confidence.
Wonderful. One day I'm going to be like Peta, I'm going to have that confidence. And success to me, like, I've watched videos, I've read stories, ek het wel baie dinge gedoen, to be honest. But like, one thing that I know is success is different to a lot of people. What is success to you? How do you see success? How do you explain it? How would you explain it to the people out there that are wondering, looking at you right now?
I don't know if I will call it success, but I'll tell you what brings me joy.
Yes.
It is the ability to make a difference.
Wow.
If what I do leaves the next person that I've engaged with inspired, leaves him in a better position, leaves him feeling good, then I feel good. And for me, that's where my reward comes from. And I think if I did not succeed in making an impact in somebody's life in a day, then I haven't been successful in that day. But if I make an impact, I make a difference, and that difference is visible, that for me is my success.
Wonderful. One of the things now that you mentioned, Peta, like I said earlier, I saw you at a Women empowerment event for the first time. And something that actually stayed behind with me that you mentioned, we actually spoke about it earlier, is the advice that you gave about budgeting and how to handle your finances. And now that you're mentioning, it's like you want to make an impact, and that's how you feel that you've made a success or that you have succeeded. And I think at that event, you definitely succeeded by inspiring me, and you left me with a thought and also advice for the future on how to do things.
Thanks, Angelique. Appreciate that.
It's like, guys, you don't know what I'm going through right now. And then also, now that you're mentioning success and how you impact people's lives, I know that in life we all face different challenges. We all go through different things. I have faced challenges, and as a successful woman, I believe that you have faced a few challenges as well. So, what are the unspoken challenges that entrepreneurs face? The ones that are hidden that we don't really know about.
In fact, you bring the picture of a paddling duck to mind. I don't know if you've seen it. If you see a duck on the water,
Yes.
it looks so gracefully as it
Yes.
slides through the
Yeah,
water.
just
But
smooth.
underneath it's paddling like mad. That's
Oh.
what it is about. I think there's so much that goes into it. And I was saying, being an entrepreneur, for one, is that you're never sure that you'll have a salary at the end of the month. For there to be a salary at the end of the month, you've got to do the work so that the payment can come at the end of the month.
Yes.
So it's that doing the work part of it that a lot of people are not aware of. It means long hours. At times it means dedicating yourself and not being part of important family events, because work has to happen, you know. And there is really so many stumbling blocks. I was actually talking to my daughter, who is now working for us at Securitas.
Oh, wow.
And a few years ago, we started a business together. I was actually telling her, I've actually started 6 different companies that failed.
Who would have? So, by you also telling me right now is don't give up.
I'm telling you that you have to have a passion for what you're doing.
Wow.
And you should never, ever give up.
Yes.
Because I actually look back at my own experience and I said, what I have learned is 6 different ways to not start a company. You know?
Yeah.
But ultimately, if you put your heart into it, and you really find something that you like, something that you're passionate about, you will be successful in it. But the idea is really just not to give up. You know?
Yes.
In Afrikaans sê hulle jy soen soveel paddas voor jy 'n prins ontmoet. It's exactly that. That is part of the business journey,
Okay.
the entrepreneurial journey.
Yes.
You know, and if you give up and decide to go and work for somebody, for argument's sake, if you're an entrepreneur, but you decide to go work for somebody, you are exchanging your own dream for that person's dream.
Wow.
Because you're actually helping that person making their dream
Yes.
come true at the expense of your own dream.
Okay.
So if you know what you want, you are dedicated, you are focused on it, you just keep going. And like I say, there will be a lot of snares along the way. You know, in the business world, always we talk about the fact that you cannot trust everybody. Sometimes you take your idea and you bring it to Peta and you say to Peta, I think I want to do this, and that. And all Peta does, take your idea, tweak it a bit and implement it.
As
and
our
leave
own,
you out on your cold out on your own, you know. So there is so many snares in the business world. But for me, the bottom line is just don't give up. If you have a dream, pursue it. Follow your passion and follow through. You will become successful.
You mentioning the fact that you first you started 6 businesses before you became successful. Like I said, like you actually mentioned, don't ever give up. I think a lot of us, after our first, let's say there's a stone in the road and you trip over it, after that you don't want to walk any further, you don't want to go any further. But now that you know that stone is there, the next time when you pass it, you're not gonna go straight,
you're gonna walk around
or if it's
jump
not
over it.
Exactly. And that's what I took from it now, because a lot of us do something and I was like, near it can work, it's gonna work, and if it doesn't work the first time, I'm not doing it anymore and I'm gonna settle for less. But you settling for less is actually not what you are supposed to be doing.
And you won't be happy.
Yes.
Because like I say, you know, if it's not your vision, if it's not your passion, it's not your dream,
Yes.
and you're doing it for the income thereof, what you will have is you'll have the money at the end of the month, but the happiness, the fulfillment will always lack.
You're sacrificing short-term joy or money for long-term investment, which is your happiness and your dreams that you are supposed to be fulfilling, like you said. And another thing is, like you're saying, that going through all of this, by starting your 6 businesses, I believe that failing at those businesses also got you to some point where you were probably breaking down or going through a lot, maybe questioning yourself. Did business ever bring you to that point, to a breaking point? Have you ever been there feeling like...
I actually have. I worked for a very big corporate And when I started out my own venture,
Yes.
I left what everybody looked at as a very lucrative salary, and people couldn't understand, how do you leave the salary to come
Yes.
and fund a business that actually takes money from you?
you.
But the truth is, I wasn't happy anymore. I didn't feel like I was making a difference, because I felt I was caught up in this machinery, you know, where you become one of the many, you become a number,
Yeah.
and I didn't feel like I'm making a difference.
Okay.
And I must say, it was a tough 2 years, very tough 2 years, almost exhausted all my savings and all my funds that I had,
Yes.
until I teamed up with the partnership I have at Securitas Financial Group, because I'm one of 4 partners, we 4 directors in the business.
Yes.
And when I teamed up with them, that's when things started to happen for me. And I always look at my own experience and I say, there is now a saying that goes around that says, coffee didn't know it will taste so good until it met milk and sugar.
Wow.
And that was my experience.
Yes.
You know, I think on my own I was doing okay,
Yeah.
but I needed to partner up with like-minded people that would enhance me, that would
Yes.
exhilarate me, that would influence me.
Yeah. Bring you up to
And
that.
the 3 of us, the 4 of us, when we got together, I think it just became an amazing story.
It was. It needed that, like you said. Another thing that I read the other day, somebody said that sometimes you need to associate yourself with people that think like you. Sometimes you need to associate yourself with people that are successful, because that is where you want to see yourself in life. Be with those people that are successful. Don't feel like they are better or they look down on you. No, learn from them. Get there and see what they did to get there and do better. Or sometimes, like you said, with the 6 businesses that you started, you already started them, so you knew what not to do. So with you and your daughter starting a venture or a business, you know how to guide her on what not to do.
Exactly. In fact, you are reminding me, and I can't remember who said it because I'm stealing from somebody now and I can't remember who said it. But they said, if you are in a room with 4 millionaires and you're the 5th person,
Yes.
in no time you will be the 5th millionaire.
Wow.
Because the environment that you find yourself in, the people, the company that you keep, actually will mold you. You know.
Yes.
But if you hang around with 4 people who are drunkards, very soon you'll be the 5th.
Yeah. That's true.
So your company, like you say, the company
yes.
that you keep is extremely important. And I must say, for me, one of the things that has always helped me as a professional person was that I always had somebody that I could go back to and use as a soundboard.
Wow.
You know, I have never given up on the value of that. And like you said, you met me at a women empowerment conference. I have surrounded myself with women who would root for me, you know, and that I could root for, you know, and that for me has been a very strong foundation. So then the company you keep is extremely important.
Yes, and like you say, the women that you keep around you, they are supposed to motivate you, they are supposed to clap for you. I mean, nobody wants a downer in their group. Nobody wants somebody that you are trying to elevate one another, and then there's that one that's like, no, we don't want that. We are supposed to be there for as women to encourage one another and build one another up. And I know that you're a mom, and we mentioned your daughter now, so obviously they know as well. So how do you balance your life? Is there things such as balance? Can you balance your personal career, life, your passions? Is there a thing there? Can you balance it?
I like I said previously, I worked for a big corporate, and one of the big issues that were always topical was the work-life balance. To say, how do you make sure that you keep these two in check?
Yes.
Personally, I don't think you balance them.
Okay.
I think what happens is that you decide at that point what is important.
Okay.
Because and sometimes I think it's a tough choice for a lot of ladies, because sometimes it's exactly that, making sure that the kids are you've got a system at home that the kids are taken care of whilst you are pursuing your career, especially when you're an entrepreneur. As an entrepreneur, I think because we're building something, we're constantly in a building phase. Whilst you're building this something's got to give.
Yeah.
So, and like I say, once your career, for me, once my business was established, my career was in place, I had a reputation out there, I then can focus on the kids, you know.
Yes.
But focusing on both of them equally, like you could do a 50-50 and balance them, has never worked for me.
Okay.
I think it has always been what is important, and keeping the down, you have that up and down, but it's, for me, it has always been what was important now, and making sure that whilst I focus on the family, the business is okay. And when I focus on the business, the family is okay. And that for me is a balance. But keeping them in check, no, I don't think so.
On the same level, it's not going to work.
So. I really think it's what is important at the time, and being able to give of yourself to where there's a need. Because I've always looked at a business, and somebody that when I did my basic studies around business management, one of my lecturers actually said, if you can remember that a business is like having a child that can't walk, can't talk, paralyzed. Having a paralyzed child. Because you need to feed the business, you need to clothe it, and that is consistent in your life. And just like you would look after that child with passion, with compassion, with integrity, that's how you must look after your business. So for me, it has always been that. It's always been a baby. It's always been a baby that needed nurturing, that needed care, that needed, and balancing that off. My baby's at home,
So you have to make it work. Now you're mentioning and you're saying that your lecturer said that a business is like a baby or a child that's paralyzed. I never actually looked at it that way. For me, it was like business grows as you grow. But now that you're saying it, I'm actually looking into it from another point of view. It is actually that, because even if things change out there, you need to make the change to your business. You need to bring that change within your business, and change is inevitable. It's gonna happen. We can't do anything about it, but it's how you incorporate it into your business and bring it in. So I totally understand what you mean by your child, or a child that cannot do anything for themselves, and you need to do it.
And remember, a business cannot make a decision for itself. Whereas I've got my twins are now 15 years old. They are my babies, and they are now at that stage where they can decide, I want to eat or not, I don't want to eat, or I want to go to sleep, or I want to go to the movies. A business cannot make those decisions. You have got to make the decisions that will have a positive impact on that business. That's why when he said it's like having a paralyzed child, it means that the child will never be able to look after itself. You have to constantly look after it and make decisions that will be in the best interest of that business.
Yes, or your business basically is. One of the things that I would like to know, since I am young and hopefully one day be an entrepreneur, and I mentioned to you actually earlier before we came on camera that I would have actually loved to be a stay-at-home mom, but I also want to earn my own money as well. And you spoke about this and you spoke about it now, and I think it's a big eye-opener for a lot of us out there, for young women, young men, and people that want to start their businesses. But basically that I want to ask is, what are your success habits? Do you have success habits? What would you say they are?
I think one of the things I've learned very early in my career is to never leave the office with things that are with unfinished business.
Okay.
What you received for the day, you should make sure that you finish it on the day. And unfortunately for me, that sometimes meant leaving the office at 9 at night and getting home at 10. But it was that habit to say, do not carry things over. Everything that you could do in day one that you received on that day, finish them on that day. And then just have a habit. For me, another habit was, like I said, using a mentor. I've always had a mentor in my life. Somebody that I could go back to and get advice from. And you don't always have to implement your mentor's advice, but it's somebody that has walked the path and can assist you on that road, or just give you a different perspective. I prefer calling them a soundboard, because I hear myself talking, and then I decide, okay, now that I've heard what my story is, hear what they have to say, and see how I can find the best way out. So having a mentor for me was always very important. And then also being in the habit of continuously learning. I think as an entrepreneur, you never reach a stage where you know it all. You need to understand that there's better ways. There's always a better way, a shorter cut. But you need to know what is happening.
Yes.
So continuous learning.
Learning to learn, yeah.
And also just being aware. I call it a competitor analysis.
Wow.
Consistently know what the opposition is doing. And sometimes, I always say, sometimes you do something that should move the opposition. You're not doing it for your business, you're doing it to impact the opposition to your own benefit.
Yes.
So your competitor analysis is extremely important. Know what goes on in your industry.
Yes.
And then obviously, important to build meaningful relationships. Because I always say nobody's an island.
Yeah.
So for us to, as an entrepreneur specifically, to be able to make money, you need to have a good network of people around you. Build meaningful relationships that you could tap into, you know, if you need it from time to time. And then obviously making sure that you become that support structure for other people that you would like them to be.
Yes. Yeah, I feel like it's probably so wonderful to work with you. I feel like the people, like your energy is so good, it's so positive. The way that you are talking was wonderful to have you here at Conquer. I am out of words. This is a phenomenal woman, empowered woman, to say the least. That is not even enough. But we are very grateful that you came out to Conquer and to talk to the young people and to talk to everyone out there, the future entrepreneurs, the future successful people. Thank you so much for coming through.
Angelique, thank you for having me. I had a blast. I enjoyed chatting to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us at Conquer. See ya.